Jean-Baptiste du Casse was a French buccaneer, admiral, and colonial administrator who served throughout the Atlantic world during the 17th and 18th centuries. Likely born August 2, 1646, in Sorbis, near Pau, to a Huguenot family, du Casse joined the French merchant marine and served in the East India Company in the slave-trading Compagnie du Sénégal. Later, he joined the French Navy and took part in several victorious expeditions during the War of the League of Augsburg in the West Indies and Spanish South America. During the War of the Spanish Succession, he participated in several key naval battles, including the Battle of Malaga and the Siege of Barcelona. For his service, he was made a Knight of the Order of the Golden Fleece by King Philip V of Spain. In the midst of these wars, he was governor of the colony of Saint-Domingue from 1691 to 1703. He ended his military career at the rank of Lieutenant General of the Naval Forces, and Commander of the Royal and Military Order of St. Louis. He died on June 25, 1715 in Bourbon-la-Chambeau, Auvergne. Origins and family. As fixed spellings of surnames was not yet common practice in his time, du Casse's surname has a variety of different spellings. The spelling of du Casse is from his birth record, but other records show du Casse, Ducas, and du Casse. His grandnephew, Robert, who wrote a biography of Jean-Baptiste in 1876, spells both his great-uncles and his own as du Casse. Uncertainty exists around the birth of du Casse, though he is usually said to have been born on August 2, 1646 in Sorbis, near Dax, the son of Bertrand du Casse, a Barnham merchant, and Marguerite Levine. He was actually born in Pas de Jacques du Casse and Judith Remy. His father Jacques was the son of Gaillard du Casse, a minister in the Reformed Church of France, which designated the family as Huguenots, because Huguenots were persecuted at this time in France, and their career prospects were limited. It is thought that du Casse forged his baptismal record to hide his Huguenot and ignoble background. Early biographers, including his grandnephew and St. Simon, perpetuated this error in the works. Du Casse admitted his family's religious background in a letter to Naval Minister Pontchartrain in 1691, and local records from Pau also support the Huguenot origins of the du Casse family. He renounced his Calvinist faith in 1685, however, after Louis XIV revoked the Edict of Nantes via the Edict of Fontainebleau. He married Marthe Baudry on 16 March 1686 in Gep. She came from a family closely tied to banking and colonial trade. They had one daughter, Marthe du Casse, who married Louis de la Rochefoucauld, Marquis de Roy. Her father offered a dowry of 1,200,000 livres, an incredible sum at the time. Marthe and Louis had a son, Jean-Baptiste de la Rochefoucauld de Roy, who became a naval officer and led the ill-fated Duc d'Anville expedition. Career, Africa and the slave trade. He went into the slave trade with the Compagnie du Sénégal, sailing between Africa and the Caribbean. With the money he earned from the slave trade, he bought a ship in Saint-Domingue and began a career as a privateer. He eventually sailed to France and offered half of his loot to the crown. For this he was appointed lieutenant in the French Navy by Louis XIV. War of the League of Augsburg. In 1687 he tried to conquer Elmina, and in June 1689 he attacked Berbiche and Fort Zeelandia in Suriname. In 1691, he was appointed governor of Saint-Domingue, and gained the respect of the buccaneers of the island. In the following months he plundered the English colonies in the vicinity, including Port Royal, which had just been struck by a devastating earthquake. In 1697, under Baron de Pointes, he successfully raided the South American city of Cartagena de Indias, but did not receive the promised 1/5 share of the loot. He then sailed to France to claim his share from King Louis XIV in person. In fact, he and his men received a compensation of 1.4 million francs. Furthermore, he was promoted to admiral and made a knight in the Order of St. Louis. War of the Spanish Succession. In later years he performed and committed a number of notable acts. In 1702, he defeated John Benbow near Santa Marta in what is known as the Action of August 1702. 2 years later he fought in the vanguard on the Intrépide, during the Battle of Vieques Malaga. In 1708, while in Spanish service, he commanded the Spanish treasure fleet during its annual voyage, suffering very few losses. For this he was awarded the Order of the Golden Fleece, the highest Spanish award possible. In 1714, he commanded the French fleet during the Siege of Barcelona. Governorship of Saint-Domingue. He was governor of Saint-Domingue from 1691 to 1703. He died on June 25, 1715 in the town of Bourbon-la-Chambon. In popular culture, in the video game Assassin's Creed IV, Black Flag, du Casse's nephew serves as one of the antagonists and the first boss. In the game, his name is Julian, and is 33 at his time of death in 1715. This character took to sea at a young age and fought alongside his real-life uncle in the War for Spanish Succession, before deserting in favor of a brief tenure as a slave trader and subsequently as a mercenary prior to the game's start. He was one of the Templars in the game, while he was accompanied by Woodes Rogers and Laureano Torres y Ayala.